All right, everybody. We are here today. Our friend Adam Polonski from LostLantern is back on the Bourbon Showdown, the head of whiskey sourcing and co-founder of LostLantern. How are you, buddy? Good to see you.
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me. And I'm sorry Nora couldn't join today. She's off in the blending room, so you're stuck with me.
There we go. Oh, man, I hate that we're missing Nora, but we've had some great conversations, the three of us. It'll be good to get to talk to you as well. We've got a lot to talk about as we're going to be diving in to the United States of Bourbon here in a moment. And I can't wait to unpack that with you as there's a lot going on. And good Lord, it's an exciting freaking project that you guys have taken on here. But first and foremost, how are you, buddy? I hadn't seen you in a minute.
I'm great. As you know, Nora and I had a baby in January, so we have been really busy with that. And pro tip for anyone looking for some professional advice, having a baby and then doing the biggest work project that you've ever done in your life within 5 months of each other, not recommended. However, that's how these things go sometimes, and you make it work and get less sleep. But the US 250th only comes around once, so couldn't exactly push it back.
I had the mental picture of like an 80s 3 Men and a Baby kind of vibe where like you guys are trying to get everything done. There's like whiskey samples on one shelf and like bottles on the other shelf. And there's Huey Lewis playing in the background for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, pretty much. We were able to take a little bit of time off, but then had to get right back into it to get everything ready for this release. But we were thrilled that we got it out right when we wanted to, and that it's generated a lot of excitement. We love that.
It's getting a lot of buzz, man. And when I first read about this, I was like, okay, I got to talk to Adam and figure out what the thought process was here. For anybody that's just joining us, give me a brief overview of what LostLantern is and your guys' mission statement, because you guys have been doing something very cool as long as I've known you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, LostLantern is an independent bottler of American whiskey. We are not a distillery. We will never be a distillery. I would probably trip over a cord and fall into the fermenter on the first day. And that's not the distilled spirit anybody wants to drink. We instead buy whiskey from small distilleries all across the United States, all of them places that we have personally visited. And then we release their whiskey in a couple of different ways, either as a single cask that says right on the front label where it comes from, like LostLantern, Broad Branch, North Carolina straight rye whiskey or something like that. Or we blend a couple of casks from one distillery together, or like we're mostly going to talk about today, sometimes we blend whiskey from multiple distilleries together. And the culmination of that is what we just released for our summer collection, the United States of Bourbon, the first blend of bourbon from all 50 states.
Which is just badass, man. I mean, you guys have been doing such a good job with your blends. For how long have you guys been open now?
Yeah, we released
pandemic, pre-pandemic.
We released our first whiskeys in 2020. It had
That's
been in the
right.
works for a little while before that. So we've been putting out blends for a little over 5 years now.
That's beautiful, dude. And I'll tell you, my favorite part about what you guys do is you are Johnny Appleseeding it across the country, and you've shined such a light on so many distilleries that people might not have ever known about had you guys not introduced them to them. One of my favorites was last year. You sent me some apple brandy that I think I don't even know if it made its way into what you guys were doing. It was just something that was absolutely outstanding, and I wouldn't have known about that if you hadn't been like, dude, I think you'll like it. Give it a try. And I think that is such a wonderful spirit for this current realm of whiskey that we're in, that you're doing it for the right reasons. It's like this is truly good, interesting whiskey, and in the spirit of the way of scotch from 200 years ago. Just want to like frickin' put it out there so people can get a hold of it and try it and expand the palate and enjoy.
Exactly. And everybody knows that Buffalo Trace makes great whiskey, but there are so many amazing small distilleries that people just have never heard of, or a lot of the times, even if they have heard of them, they can't get their hands on it because they don't live in that particular state or can't buy it online. And then we're able to help actually get it in front of people and sift through the 2,000 distilleries around the country to help people get a sense of what's out there that you as a whiskey lover really should know about and explore new things that are happening all across the country.
I mean, win frickin' win, man. It helps the distilleries because, like you said, pull back pull back the curtain a little bit, a lot of whiskey distribution is like a gigantic chess match. And sometimes, to your point, Buffalo Trace, they're nationwide. So they've got the liquid to go into every market and blah, blah, blah. We love, nothing against them. They're doing what they do. But other distilleries, you can have just as fantastic a whiskey and not the stress or headache of finding enough liquid to make it into every market in the freaking country. So then you could be the greatest whiskey in Virginia and nobody in Washington state ever gets a chance to try it. That's where Lost Lantern gets to pop in and go, yo, this is fantastic. I don't know if you've ever said, yo, this is fantastic or not in your life. Kind of doubt it. But you can be like, this is fantastic. Let's share it with everybody. And then boom, Washington state gets to try some goodness out of Virginia. I just love the entire business model.
Exactly. And it's very much based on the old tradition of Scotch independent bottlers, like you alluded to. Places in Scotland have done this for many years, highlighting single malts from distilleries that usually only went into blends and were really hard to find. Blending not as much part of the tradition in the United States as it is in Scotland, but the fact that so many distilleries are so limited in where they're available really gave us room to highlight them. And now we've worked with this release more than 70 distilleries in every state in the country.
So tell me about that. United States of Bourbon perfectly lines up with the 250th. How? Like when you took this undertaking on, what was your like where did it start? What have you learned about such an endeavor? Like just walk me through the thought process of how this thing got stood up.
Yeah, so we actually had the idea for the United States of Bourbon, which we didn't have that name for it at the time, just called it a 50-state blend way back in 2018 when we were first in the process of starting Lost Lantern. We had quit our jobs in New York City, left we were both in the whiskey industry in different ways, and decided to drive around the country for 8 months visiting distilleries and pitching our vision for Lost Lantern. And as we started to make our way across the Great Plains and kept finding more and more great whiskey beyond the places that we already knew about, but places that were kind of hidden gems that people didn't know yet, we started to think, I wonder if there's good whiskey everywhere in the country. And then I wonder if someone could eventually blend that. And what if they could do it with bourbon, which is America's national spirit, and really showcase that. But it wasn't for a number of years later that we actually started to think about really doing it. And even when we decided in 2024, we are going to go try and make the first blend of bourbon from all 50 states, we didn't know if it could happen because there are some states that only have one or two distilleries that make bourbon. And I didn't always know, first of all, whether it was good enough for what we wanted. And second of all, whether they would sell us bourbon and let us put their name on our label. Because just like all of the whiskey we do, this has all 50 distillery names on the label.
I love
Pretty
that, man.
small, but they're there. And I spent a lot of time traveling to visit some of the states we hadn't been to before and found bourbon that fit our profile, and we were able to make it happen. But it was really an adventure along the way with an uncertain outcome until we got most of the way there. And then I got all 50 and they said, hey, Nora, now you have to go blend it.
I was going to say you had to feel like a kid with every baseball card by the time you got done. Or I'm sorry, for the modern generation, every Pokemon, you had caught them all.
Exactly.
I love how I was somehow condescending to both generations right there. That's a skill, Adam. Not everybody has that.
You're a pro.
I hadn't thought about there not being whiskey makers in every state, but I mean, if it had been pre 2014 or 2010, there's a very good chance that you guys would have like 7 whiskeys in this blend.
Yeah, this would not have been possible even when we first started Lost Lantern. Some of the whiskeys in it are 2 years old, which is the threshold for being a straight bourbon, which is our minimum. And it was in some states it was a challenge to hit that, but we were able to make it happen. And there are some states that are younger than others in there, but even then they're making whiskey that we think is really exciting, and are thrilled that we were able to find a partner in every state that we were eager to represent and talk about.
Okay, so you've gotten your 50 states, you've got everybody, you found the best whiskey in the country, literally. How did Nora go about this undertaking? Because this is not, I mean, my brain can't process how you guys blend together what you were already blending together. Like with so many different flavor profiles, how did you put the, I don't even know how to ask the question of how you broke down so many good whiskeys and created a blend to create like a super group of flavor. Sticking with that one, love super group of flavor.
I like that. Well, I know how to answer the question, I think, but I think I need a little whiskey for it. So I'm going to pour a little bit of the 100 proof.
I may
Uh,
join you.
and it was definitely a challenging. One of the questions that we get a lot is whether it's equal parts from all 50 states, which it's not, and also whether this is basically just a giant infinity bottle, which it also is not. Because we didn't want to do this project just for the sake of making a bourbon from all 50 states. We have been doing blending for a long time and shining a light on great whiskey from across the country. We didn't want to do it unless it could also actually be good and be a bourbon that people could be excited about and represent that great whiskey comes from all across the United States. So Nora started by basically building 3 different whiskeys, one which is a little more than half of the blend, and she calls the base, and that's made of about 10 or 12 different distilleries blended together that form the core of it, which a lot of them are fairly approachable, balanced, classic in flavor profile. And then it's like a layer cake from there, where then there's like a smaller layer on top of it with some additional different flavors. And then there's the frosting, or the salt and pepper that amps up particular flavor notes. So even whiskeys that are themselves like in one particular direction, like really oaky, powerful whiskeys from Texas or Mississippi, add a piece to the final blend, and we think make it ultimately be relatively classic in profile overall, which is what we wanted. We want it to be a bourbon that tastes like a bourbon, even to someone who's only ever had Kentucky bourbon before.
I completely get that, and sort like the same way that when you're doing your regular blends, you want something to anchor it, you want something to accentuate, you want something to represent the notes of what you want out of it, and you just have so many more paints for your paintbrush in this blend.
And what Nora says is that that actually made the blending of this easier than she thought it would be, because she had so many different colors to play with. Whenever there was a piece that felt like it was missing from the prototype blend, there was another whiskey that she could put in to help add that and round it out and make it feel more like a complete whiskey.
Well, anytime you're built like sticking to the paint metaphor, uh, uh, it creates depth when done the right way. It creates shading, it creates dimension, it creates volume. All of the things that an artist can bring out of it is what it sounds like you guys have accomplished with this right here. That's why I was so excited to talk to you today about the release of this guy.
Exactly. And it was also important to us that this not be like 80% whiskey from one distillery and then 20% everybody else, because that
Right.
would didn't feel like it would fit the parameters of what we wanted to do. So the biggest component in this is only 14% of the blend, which is Cedar Ridge Distillery from Iowa, and everybody else is under 10%. So it's really truly a blend of whiskey from all across the country with no one distillery or flavor dominant.
That is beautiful, dude. I gotta pop into this. The nose is out of this world. There's so many different things, but also not 50. Like it's not like punching you in the like. It's not that your palate doesn't know where to go when you nose this thing. Like you're getting sweet, you're getting robusto, and then you're getting like depth. I think the depth on this nose is probably my favorite part of it. Is just that it's expansive.
Yeah. And this is the 100 proof version. We also have a cast strength, which we'll talk about in a minute. But one of our first releases that are not cast strength, we slow proofed it down to 100 proof because we figure that's a perfect balance between approachability and complexity.
All right, there's a good chance I'm going to time travel when I start sipping on this. As I'm expanding my mind, walk me through what people can expect when they pop this bad boy for the first time. I'm going in. Cheers.
Cheers. And thank you for having me. So you immediately, I get baking spice and chocolate on the nose, uh, decent amount of oak, but not excessive, vanilla caramel, very much a classic bourbon profile, a little bit of a grain forward note, A lot of that vanilla and caramel spice, which is what I would expect and want from a 100 proof bourbon.
Good Lord, man. And I love the fact that you're getting the you're getting what you want from all of the profiles that you like. Like you're taking that classic whiskey profile. There's also a perfect amount of oak on it. There's a perfect amount of burn in the belly. Like all of the pieces kind of formula. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna stick with Supergroup because it really does hit the palate the right way. Hits the top palate, mid palate, side palate. Like it's all getting a different flavor note while still working together to create cohesion and a beautiful volumetric balance of flavor.
I'm so glad you feel that way because it was really important to us that this whiskey feel cohesive and not just feel like a jumble of different flavors. That would again not be the point of what we wanted to do.
And it could have been so easy to have that happen. Like that could have it's a testament to your guys' ability to put together good whiskey that it didn't happen. Like I don't think other folks would have been able to pull this off. But the fact that you're diving in and you're getting such cohesion on the palate and pronounced cohesion, which I think is a very important part to say right there, because all of it works in a bourbon landscape. Everything is heightening what would be there where you want it.
And I think that really speaks to both the quality of whiskey now being made in parts of the country that people just don't even think about, and
Mm-hmm.
also to this project being truly years in the making. Because like we didn't try to pull this together. We didn't think of it in like January of this year and try to scramble it out. Like we bought our first whiskey for this in 2020, even before we knew whether we'd ever be able to do it, and have been quietly picking up a lot of them along the way, and then most of them in the last 2 years, but knowing that this was the end point that we wanted to get to all along.
And it shows, man. Like it really does show through in that this is immediately you can tell this has been taken care of. Like oil painting versus acrylic, right? Like you guys have layered on and layered on and layered on, and it's not just paint on paint.
Exactly. And
Man.
we feel like we only had one chance to make a first impression with this. Like this is the first blend of bourbon from all 50 states ever made. And you can only do that once. And it also speaks to a lot of people who actually aren't in the regular whiskey world, who aren't always drinking bourbon and don't know that bourbon can come from places beyond Kentucky or Tennessee or Indiana. So we felt a lot of responsibility to make sure that this was something that could speak to even those people who are not living in this world the way that you and I are all the time.
And on that note, your North Carolina participant in this is actually with us on the call right now. I'm gonna bring in Don Jenkins from Broad Branch Distillery, one of the distilleries from North Carolina that was used in this United States of Bourbon blend. So let's bring Don in real quick.
All right.
How are you, buddy?
I am well. How are you?
Doing good. Thanks for waiting for us. We've been saying nothing but good things about you and Broad Branch as we talk about Lost Lanterns. I'm just drinking through it for the first time right now. This United States of Bourbon, man, is absolutely delicious.
Yes. Yes, it turned out really well. That's a daunting task to take 50 barrels and blend them into something that is quite good. Much less just get it to taste like anything at all. I sat with this for a while before the call. I hadn't had a chance to sit down and really like take mental notes of what I was getting. But it is really unique. I'm getting like chocolate chip toffee cookies, like a Pinot Grigio, heavy on the honeydew.
Yeah.
There's some tobacco, like probably cigar tobacco. It's really nice. And the longer you sit with it, it really starts to, a lot more comes out of it. Good job.
I'm gonna make you write the tasting notes for our next release.
Yeah,
it is a hobby. I try to get better at it.
We were talking about how difficult it must have been, this undertaking of putting all of these together, but how cohesive it still came out in the end.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit, Don, How did Broad Branch come to be associated with this project, and how did you and Adam come together? Like how does when Lost Lantern finds something good, what is the process for integrating and collaborating?
So we had started to get some phone calls from people that wanted to basically purchase barrels of our rye and sell it under their label. And I thought that was a really bad idea. I didn't see any reason to try to create competition for ourselves with our own product. And I was, kind of surfing the net, and I kept seeing Lost Lantern, and I thought that was a great idea. Right? Here's a company that basically curates, distilleries across the country, and then, brings some of their favorite together to, like turn people on to, distilleries they otherwise wouldn't have ever known about. I really love the way they put their on the label, front label, the Lost Lantern logo, and then all the information about the distillery. It's just a really, respectful way to go about things, I think. So I got in touch with Adam and said, "Hey man, I really dig what your company does." And we talked for a bit, and he finally made it down to North Carolina. And we spent, a few hours one day kind of going through some barrels and talking about, what he does and what we do. And it was really nice. I really appreciate what they do.
Yeah, I think you reached out to me and I kept saying I'll be down in North Carolina within the next 3 months, and I promised that for about a year and a half before I actually made it happen.
It was, and I want to congratulate you on being a dad, man. That is, yes, that is the best journey you will ever take.
Yeah. Cheers. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Cheers to that.
But yeah, and I got down there and we talked, and I knew a little bit about you all because you have some buzz in bourbon and especially rye world, and thought to myself, like, this seems like a good fit both for United States of Bourbon, which we were already thinking about, and for our single barrel program in general. And when I went down there, I was really blown away. Like I do a lot of vetting on distilleries beforehand before I make the trip, just to get a sense of like not just what they do, but how they talk about it, how they think about the way they make whiskey. And you guys down at Broad Branch are both so legit in your process and in the whiskey that you're making. It's spectacular. And we bought more barrels from you than we normally do for a first time distillery, and I already want more. So I love what you're doing, and they're just such intensity of flavor in a way that is different from other parts of the country, and it really reflects where you are in North Carolina.
Thank you.
There's so much that you two have in common just in terms of how you both think about whiskey. And I mean that not just the scientific, not just the what goes into the blends or distribution. I'm talking about that like love of whiskey. And Don, I've spent multiple hours at the distillery climbing through barrels, and you guys have some absolute stellar, just if you're willing to go on a journey, you're willing to take you there. And Adam, I know that's also right up your that's like your homing beacon for finding people that care about this industry as much as you guys do. So when Broad Branch and Lost Lantern got together, I just knew that was going to be a home run. As you're right, the Rye Fidelity is one of my favorites. And anytime you guys do a super collider, I have to stockpile them because whenever people come over, they drink them all up. I think I told you, Don, the last time we talked that a buddy of mine, he killed my last blueberry super collider, didn't even ask if he could have the last pour. It's where were people taught manners these days, guys?
I didn't know. That was a good one too.
That was so good. That was so good.
And you guys were our first pick for North Carolina for United States of Bourbon. So I was really glad that we were able to make it happen, because it is exactly one distillery from every state, because we really wanted to find the best representative.
Yeah. That was a huge undertaking. Like kudos for, having the balls to make that happen.
and execute it so well.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So much travel, so much hunting down. Like some states were easy. Like North Carolina honestly was pretty easy because you were basically already excited about what we were doing and your whiskey was really good. So that's an easy conversation. There were other states where I got on a plane to get there and I knew where I was going, but I never tried whiskey from any of the distilleries before. So I had to, like, you can't find North Dakota whiskey here in Vermont, that's for sure. But it was so often that I was blown away by what I found out there. Like our North Dakota distillery in Fargo, Proof Artisan Distillers, actually is great. We did a single cask from them in our Discovery Club, 5-year-old North Dakota bourbon, and it's spectacular. And I just love finding those places that aren't widely known outside of their particular neck of the woods.
Yeah, you do a good job with that.
So when you're in these like more remote locations, like I'm of course picturing you with like a comically large map, like just looking where am I going next? But like, how do you track these down? Like you said, Broad Branch, the breadcrumbs of good whiskey in North Carolina lead you there. How do you find when you're in Fargo, North Dakota? How do you find the gems, the diamonds in the rough in areas that aren't known for whiskey?
There are some states that were on the harder side where I actually went onto the federal government website for whiskey labels and looked up every approved bourbon label from that state. I actually haven't told anyone this before outside of the company. And that's a way to very quickly see, like, did they actually distill it themselves? And the way someone does their label also tells you a decent amount about what they're up to. Like, are they talking about transparency, or are they talking about how smooth it is and how great for parties? That those tell me something about the way you're approaching what you're doing. And that would sometimes point me towards places that I wouldn't otherwise have found. Like there are even a couple of distilleries in the blend that don't really have particularly active online presence. So you only would know about them if you're truly right there. So if we didn't do that level of research and diligence, I don't think we would have found some of them. And even then, there were some states that were more challenging, but it felt like finding the diamond in the rough, where like once I found them, their whiskey was amazing. But sometimes it was just like it was not obvious where to go until I really got out there and was driving across rural Idaho or Oklahoma.
Can you imagine trying to do this before like Apple Maps?
Right. Right. That's
Like,
right where
okay,
my head went, Don.
it
It's
just
the
missed that
undertaking.
road.
Even still, I drove through so many snowstorms in somewhat precarious situations sometimes, because I mean, we had a pretty hard deadline for this project. We wanted to get it out for the 250th. And then also the last 15 states or so, we knew that Nora was pregnant. So it was like, I have to get these done as fast as I can. So I went to Alaska for 3 days to find my distillery there. Spent almost as much time getting there as I did actually there. But a lot of great adventures along the way.
Okay, so I hadn't thought about the opposite extreme. When you go to cold climate like Alaska, like I know certain scotches will even take their barrels and crack them in those colder temperatures so they can be more absorbent. How do you like what does the Alaskan whiskey taste like? Like what does that cold weather, does that extreme uh, show itself in its profile?
It does, and our Alaska distillery is called Denali Spirits. It's in a town called Talkeetna, which is about an hour and a half from Denali National Park, which means that it's the closest town to Denali National Park. And their single malt is, which is their main focus, is wonderful, and that's 5 years old. And they started making bourbon more recently, and it's a little on the younger side for this release, and it's still developing some of that full flavor profile because it's so far north that, like, I think in an ideal world they want it to be quite like some substantial age on it before they put it out on their own extensively. But we were able to pry a barrel from them specifically for this project.
Well, that would make sense, right? Because going low and slow like that, it's going to take longer for those berry profiles to come through in that age.
Exactly. And then our the second northernmost distillery is Far North Spirits in Minnesota, which is the very northern edge of Minnesota, and that's an estate distillery growing all their own grain on their family rye farm that's been there since I think the early 20th century. And I love the estate distilleries, and that's truly a place that reflects that cold climate. Everything grown distilled, aged right there.
And a climate made for rye, right?
Oh,
Like
yes.
it's not been propagated across a warmer climate and had that shine through in its output. It's like actual like rye.
Yeah. Which is why I thought Broad Branch's rye is so interesting, because obviously you're aging it in a fairly warm climate. I mean, at least compared to Vermont. And I love the effects that the climate has, even though some of your grain does not come from North Carolina, I believe.
So the alder rye comes from Washington State, but the corn and the barley grown right here in North Carolina.
Well, the beauty in North Carolina too is that we do have like your traditional 4 seasons that make for such good, whiskey time framing, like you're getting a lot of the in out that you need through maybe not so much a spring, but definitely a blend of spring, summer into summer, and then fall and winter. So North Carolina's got the climate. It just it can get a little warm in the middle.
So what's the weather down there right now? Because up here in Vermont, it is 95 degrees outside and awful.
Yep. It's been the same here for the past couple of weeks.
It's been a little soupy.
It's an outlier today. Like the sky is like hazy and almost yellow, and everyone is like, the sky is falling. What is going on? Because it's July in Vermont. It should be like 75.
We've had storms hitting us, so a much needed relief from 2 weeks of 100+ degree weather, and now it's slowing it down a little bit with some because this is about normal now. If it's the heat's gonna come back, of course, but once we get past the first heat, Don, we normally get into like about a month of rain before the heat comes back.
Yep. I'm hoping. I'm wondering how this is affecting the corn this year. That always worries.
Well, it has decimated other crops where the heat dries them out, and then the water comes in, and what didn't get dried out rots. So
Yep.
it's way too much water without enough sun to balance it out.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here nosing the cask strength following the 100 proof, and it's super interesting the difference in nose. Yes. Don, you got the cask strength? You want to join us for a pour?
So we've only opened the standard, but I will ride this one while you guys hit the cask.
Rock and roll. It's tell me a little bit about the cask, Adam.
Yeah. So this is 123 proof, but it's actually the same blend as the 100 proof. So same 50 distilleries and exact same proportion. So we actually created them the same way, and then after we blended it, we bottled the cask strength first, pulled it out, and then brought the rest down to 100 proof. So it's technically the same whiskey, but in the way they actually present, they're very, very different, just by virtue of being cask strength instead of 100 proof. Totally different experience.
And from the nose, like there's this beautiful, almost like honey earth on the nose of the 100 proof, and then I'm getting more berry and more fruit forward on the nose of the cask strength. It's definitely, they have their own personality, and they're both doing different things quite well.
Absolutely. And I think that the 100 proof both speaks to people who are less everyday whiskey drinkers, and also people like us who don't necessarily want something cask strength every night. Like, I tend to drink the 100 proof more on weeknights, and the cask strength or the 1776 edition on the weekends, because it's a denser whiskey, and sometimes I want something a little chiller.
That's well put, in the sense that it also, you're protecting your palate while enjoying at the same time. I've got friends that are just cask strengthening it up every pour, and I'm like, dude, you're going to not burn out in terms of your love of whiskey, but you're going to, what do you expect is going to happen after your 4th hazmat pour? Or what are you expecting to get out of anything you drink after that?
It is we do a lot of hazmat stuff, and it's fun, and the flavors are intensified, but I can feel it I can trace it as it goes through all of my organs.
Yeah. I feel that too. Like if I like spicy food, at least Vermont spicy, which is not that spicy. But if I've had hazmat whiskey, I can't have spicy food anymore. It just like the hazmat like affects your mouth a little more than other things. And then the spice like gets right in there and it tastes like 3 times spicier than it actually is.
Agreed.
Although Don is not giving himself enough credit, you guys came out with a couple hazmats about what 6 months ago that we were drinking together. And Adam, these things were the epitome of somehow the proof point was I want to say over 150, one of them, right? Like 154. And Don had to tell me to slow down because I'm sitting there drinking it like it's a 115 because you shouldn't have that much flavor. Like you shouldn't, like there should be a warning sign. You know what I mean? Like your body should be like, hey, this is hot. But it was so well crafted that you were getting all of the flavor from those heightened notes. And yeah, at the end of that conversation, Don, I think I took a well-needed nap.
Oh, yes.
It was just so good.
Yes. They turn out well, and we have to give credit to the barrels. We're not doing anything different than we do with any of our barrels. It's just that the environment, the barrels that we choose, and I guess the still like managed to produce this, particular variety of hazmat that drinks well below its proof point.
Well, you guys are
you Southerners are too humble. Your hazmat rye is spectacular and probably the best hazmat rye that I've ever had.
It's so good. It's so damn good. And obviously, Don, doing good work. You've garnered the attention of Adam and Nora from LostLantern. You and Nancy Fraley are now buddies. Like you've got like the creme de la creme looking at North Carolina. So I got to thank you for that.
Oh man, we had a good year last year. A nice run, and this year's turning out pretty good as well.
Now that you've called out the Southern politeness there, Adam. That's all. Yep, had a good run. That's exactly how we are. It's like, yeah, that's right. We just knocked out some shit, but we're happy with it. We're happy.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like we try really hard. Like we'll go the extra mile. We'll stay the extra hour. Extra hours to try to produce the best product we can. But there's something magical. Like not enough credit is given to the yeast and the barrels. It's like we're not wizards per se. We're not really doing anything different than anybody else. It's just all the elements of a line. Like this warehouse that we have, like produces some damn good whiskey.
Perfectly put right there.
And this conversation about Southerners and humility and politeness, just one of the things I really loved about putting this project together was getting to travel to parts of the country that people don't normally go to, like very rural parts of Alaska and Oklahoma and Louisiana, and just seeing the way that different people talk about their whiskey. And it's something I've noticed at whiskey festivals before, where like if you do a whiskey festival in New York City, someone might come up to you and say, I love this bottle. This is the best whiskey I've ever tasted. And I'm like, oh, do you want to buy one? And they're like, no. And then in California, someone comes to the table and says, you know what? That one's actually not so bad. And then they buy 3 of it. I'm like, what is going on here? And just so many cultural differences just in the way that people use language across the country. And Jesse, I'm sure you see it all the time through your work of the way that people respond differently to everyday situations. And just getting to see every corner of the country like that has really been a privilege and an honor putting this project together.
I can only imagine, man. And I think along with the whiskey, you guys could probably put out a book of your experience of putting this together, because the stories you must have of just, because I think we can all agree, and we might be biased, that the whiskey making community is like some of the best people you're ever going to meet. And I think it is that Rubik's Cube that Don was just describing, that checkers, that chess match of nature and art coming together to create something where you have a little bit of control, but nature has the rest of the control. And to have curated such a variety of characters from across the country into one whiskey, I mean, yeah, United States of Bourbon, the book, could also be a fun project as your liver recovers from the endeavor of United States of Bourbon.
Yeah, we've talked about it, and who knows where the future will bring with that. But do you have the 1776 edition too?
I do. Cannot say enough good things about the cask strength too, though. I mean, absolutely, for you to be able to pull different personalities out of both of those pours, the 100 proof stands on its own, the cask strength stands on its own. 1776, I understand the narrative. What were you trying to say with the liquid?
Yeah, so United States of Bourbon 1776 edition is part of the same series, but it's not a blend of bourbon from all 50 states. It's a blend of bourbon from just the first 13 states. So
Okay.
it is, we think of it as a blend of bourbon from the entire country, but the entire country as it was in 1776, 250 years ago. So it's the same 13 distilleries that are representing those states in the bigger blend, but it's a totally different beast. Different barrels went into it, a little older. Instead of a 2 to 10-year-old age statement, this is 4 to 8. And it presents differently because it's more of a regional profile. Instead of the entire country, it's up and down the East Coast from Georgia to Massachusetts and New Hampshire. So somewhat like cooler climate, relatively speaking. Georgia is warm, but it's not Arizona. It's not Texas.
Right.
And then the New England states are all quite cool, and the whiskey there needs to get a little older to really show its full depth. So it was actually a more challenging blend for Nora to make, but we really wanted to do something that was commemorative ahead of the 250th, and this felt like a special way to do that.
That was going to be my next question. Was this one harder than the 50? And I could see it, especially after having such a broad palette to paint with previously. Now back to your regular schedule program in terms of what you guys usually work with. So it's almost like she had half her or more than half of her easel taken away.
Exactly. And she did this blend first and kept stealing barrels that I had figured would go into the bigger blend for this one, because this is the most limited, this is the most special, and we really wanted it to be one of the best whiskeys that we've ever made. I think most of our broad branch bourbon barrels ended up going to this, with a little bit less going into the bigger blend. And then the Baltimore bourbon from Maryland is the largest component of this one.
Nice. I'm going in. Walk me through it a little bit.
Yeah, cheers. So this one is immediately spicier, a little oakier, more chocolatey, and also has a bit more of a grassy note. It has a little bit more of a rustic feel, which I think is apt for coming from a place where that has been making bourbon for, in some places, even before Kentucky. There's history of at least whiskey making in Virginia and Maryland and Pennsylvania, dating back even before the American Revolution.
And you said dialect, like you said, this is like representative of like those first country, like a dialect of the country summarizes it perfectly, because you get those. Yes, man, 1,000%. Like this is a happy pour. First thing you want is more of it.
Yes. By complete coincidence, it ended up being exactly 1,776 bottles. Who knows how that works? And it's the first thing we've ever hand numbered each bottle. So really a limited edition that we'll never repeat again. The other two, the 50 state blends, we actually will do those again. Not probably roughly every year, but we'll see when circumstances demand it, and we can do something that feels special and different than what came before.
Well, it seems like you guys really enjoyed putting this one together. Like it seems like you guys really the puzzle of the whole thing appealed to your nature as blenders as a whole.
It really felt like a tremendous and exciting undertaking to try to figure out if we could actually make this happen. And like, it's not us, as you know, just like reaching out to distilleries and saying like, can you send us a spreadsheet of what you have available to purchase? Don doesn't have a spreadsheet of what they have available to purchase. It's if you go down there and talk to him and the team likes you, then maybe they'll sell you a barrel if it fits with what they're trying to do. And that's what most of the distilleries are like. It's all about the personal relationships and talking about how we want to celebrate them and what makes them great.
Well, that's what you guys do. And Don, it's what you guys have been doing for so long, is just putting out the best possible thing, and the consumers know it. And that's why you two getting together was such a good match.
It was fun, for certain. I really like what Adam and Nora do. I think it's there are very few companies that do it the way they do. There's companies that'll send you a pack every month of different whiskeys and so on and so forth. But there's something different about Lost Lantern. Like I love the way the bottle looks. I love the idea. I love the whole concept behind this. Finding these gems throughout the country. A lot of people travel to try to find whiskeys, but you guys make it a lot easier.
Well said. Well said. Adam, where can everybody find this goodness? I imagine the Lost Lantern website, but if people are wanting to get their hands on the United States of Bourbon, tell them how.
Yeah, so United States of Bourbon is our biggest release ever, so it's a little more widely available. You can get it on our website and a number of other online retailers. So LostLanternWhiskey.com and on Skillbox and a few other places like that. We're also available in stores on shelves in New York, Massachusetts, just launching now in New Hampshire and Maine. Actually got picked up by the state of Virginia in their state stores.
That's awesome.
I think because of the history there, they took the 100 proof and the 1776 edition. And also launching in Illinois with this, and we're available in California as well. So, but the best place to find out where to get it is just go to LostLanternWhiskey.com, put your state into the drop-down menu, and it'll tell you where to get it.
I love it. You guys heard it here first. Go pick this up. If celebrate all 50 states with some United States of Bourbon. And then also, if you're in North Carolina, swing by Winston-Salem, go see our friends at Broad Branch, also making some damn good whiskey that is highlighted in the United States of Bourbon. So broadbranchdistillery.com, LostLantern.com, every good whiskey under the sun available at your fingertips. Adam, Don, thank you both so much for coming on to the show. I've talked to both of you a bunch. It's good to talk to both of you together.
Excellent. Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah, yes. Thank you. This was fun. Don, nice to see you.
Yeah, dude. It's good to see both you guys together. And LostLanternWhiskey.com is where you can find Lost Lantern. Just so you guys all know and go, because this is damn good whiskey. And then Don, I got to get to Winston-Salem and see you again soon, because it's been too long, man.
Yep, you're welcome anytime, man.
The hard part's getting me to leave. You know that.
Yeah. We got some fun stuff coming out.
Beautiful. All right, fellas. Thank you both so much for your time. Adam, I know you've got a wee baby waiting, so I appreciate you carving out some time to talk good whiskey with us here today.
Absolutely. It was my pleasure. And I love to think that little Owen is who's 5 months old. The youngest bourbon barrels we have in our distillery are in our tasting room, our warehouse, are 4 years older or 4 times older than he is. So
I love it, man. I love it. Well, I imagine you probably have something put away from the day he was born that you'll be able to share with him one day.
You think we had our shit together enough on that day to get to put some whiskey down for you?
Okay, how about something you can tell him has been around since the day he was born?
There you go.
I love it. All right, guys. Thank you both again, and can't wait to see you both soon.
Yep. Take it easy, Jesse.
Cheers, guys.
See you, Adam.
See ya.